You know, there's something truly magical about movement, no matter our age. I'll never forget my neighbor, Margaret. At 72, she told me she'd given up on exercise. "I'm too old for that," she'd say. But then, one day, she decided to try just one simple stretch in the morning. Fast forward 6 months, and she was walking faster, standing taller, and even playing with her grandkids in the yard without feeling winded. That's the power of movement, my friends. And today, I want to share with you 6 powerful exercises that can help you feel stronger, more flexible, and full of life, just like Margaret. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Exercise? At my age? But here's the truth. Your body is designed to move, and it's never too late to start. These aren't complicated workouts or intense gym routines. These are gentle, effective movements that respect where you are right now while helping you build toward where you want to be. By the end of this video, you'll have everything you need to feel more energized and confident in your body. So let's get started. Before we dive in, I'd love it if you could do me a small favor. If you're enjoying this video, give it a thumbs up. It really helps others find our community here at The Elderly Life. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss out on more tips to live your best life after 60. Now let's talk about movement that matters. First exercise, the seated leg lift. Let's begin with something simple yet incredibly effective, the seated leg lift. This is perfect if you're just starting out or if standing for long periods isn't comfortable for you. Find a sturdy chair, something without wheels, like a dining chair, and sit tall with your feet flat on the floor. Place your hands on the sides of the seat for support. Now, slowly lift one leg straight out in front of you, keeping your knee as straight as you comfortably can. Hold it for a count of 3, then gently lower it back down. That's 1 rep. Now, why is this so powerful? It strengthens your quadriceps, those big muscles on the front of your thighs, which are essential for walking, climbing stairs, and even getting up from a chair. Weak quads can make everyday movements feel like a struggle, but just a few of these each day can make a world of difference. Aim for 5 lifts per leg to start, and over time, you can work your way up to 10. Remember, it's not about speed. It's about steady, controlled movement. I remember a viewer, Bob, who emailed me saying he could barely get out of his car without groaning, until he started doing these leg lifts every morning while watching the news. Within a month, he said it felt like someone had oiled his hinges. That's the beauty of consistency, my friends. Second exercise, the standing wall push-up. Now, let's move on to something that'll help your upper body, the standing wall push-up. This is a fantastic way to build strength in your arms, chest, and shoulders without putting stress on your joints. Stand about arm's length away from a blank wall. Make sure there's nothing in your way. Place your palms flat against the wall at shoulder height, fingers pointing upward. Slowly bend your elbows and lean your body toward the wall. Then, push back to the starting position. That's 1. What I love about this exercise is how adaptable it is. If you want a little more challenge, just step your feet back a bit farther. If you need it gentler, move closer to the wall. The key is to keep your body in a straight line, no sagging or arching. Do 5 to start, and over time, you'll notice how much easier it becomes to carry groceries, lift grandkids, or even open those stubborn jars. Speaking of jars, my friend Linda used to keep a jar opener in every room of her house until she started doing these wall push-ups. Now, she proudly opens them herself and says it's her little victory every time. And those little victories? They add up to big confidence. Third exercise, the gentle seated twist. Next up is one of my personal favorites, the gentle seated twist. This is wonderful for your spine, digestion, and even your mood. Sit comfortably in your chair with your feet flat on the floor. Place your right hand on the back of the chair and your left hand on your right knee. Now, slowly twist your torso to the right, looking over your shoulder if it's comfortable. Hold for a breath or 2, then return to center. Repeat on the other side. Twists like this keep your spine mobile, which is so important for maintaining good posture and preventing that stiff feeling so many of us get as we age. Plus, the gentle compression can aid digestion, something many of us deal with after 60. Do this once or twice a day, and you might just find yourself feeling lighter in more ways than one. Now that we've covered these 3 foundational exercises, let's keep this momentum going. Trust me, the next 3 are just as easy and just as powerful. You know, one of the most common things I hear from folks over 60 is, I just don't feel as steady on my feet as I used to. And I get it. Balance isn't something we think about until it starts to slip away. But here's the good news. Balance can be rebuilt, and it doesn't take fancy equipment or hours of training. In fact, the next exercise we're going to talk about is something you can do while brushing your teeth or waiting for the kettle to boil. It's that simple and that effective. 4th exercise, the heel-to-toe stand. Let's talk about the heel-to-toe stand. This is a classic balance exercise, but we're going to do it in a way that's safe and adaptable for everyone. Start by standing near a countertop, table, or back of a sturdy chair, something you can lightly touch for support if needed. Place one foot directly in front of the other, so the heel of your front foot touches the toes of your back foot, like you're walking on a tightrope, but with both feet on the ground. Now, here's the magic. Just stand like this for 10 seconds. That's it. If you're feeling wobbly, keep a fingertip on that support. Over time, try lifting your hand away for a second or 2. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. This tiny exercise strengthens those often neglected stabilizer muscles in your ankles and legs, which are your body's natural balance system. My buddy Ray started doing this every morning while his coffee brewed. At first, he had to hold onto the counter the whole time, but after a few weeks, he could balance long enough to hum his favorite Sinatra tune. And the best part? He hasn't taken a tumble in over a year, something his grandkids tease him about, saying he's too steady to be fun anymore. Give this a try twice a day, maybe while waiting in line or watching TV. Consistency is your friend here. 5th exercise, the chair squat or sit to stand. Now, let's move on to something that'll make getting in and out of chairs effortless, the chair squat. This is hands down one of the most functional exercises for seniors because it mimics a movement we do dozens of times a day. Start by sitting toward the edge of a sturdy chair, feet hip-width apart. Lean slightly forward, engage your core, and push through your heels to stand up. Then, slowly lower yourself back down. No plopping. Here's a pro tip. If standing up feels tough at first, place a firm cushion or folded towel on the seat to raise your starting position. Less distance to travel. Aim for 5 reps to start, focusing on control rather than speed. This builds strength in your glutes, thighs, and core, the very muscles that keep you independent. A viewer named Esther wrote to me saying she dreaded going out to restaurants because she struggled to get up from booths. After 2 weeks of chair squats, she celebrated her 75th birthday at her favorite diner and stood up without even thinking about it. That's the power of practicing every day. Movements with intention. 6th exercise, the overhead arm reach. Last but not least, let's give some love to your shoulders and upper back with the overhead arm reach. So many of us develop that hunched posture after years of reading, sewing, or looking down at phones. This simple move helps counteract that. Sit or stand tall, your choice. Interlace your fingers and stretch your arms overhead, palms facing upward. Gently push toward the ceiling while keeping your shoulders relaxed. No shrugging. Hold for 10 seconds, breathing deeply. Feel that wonderful lengthening in your sides and spine. This isn't just about posture, it's about breathing easier. 2. When we're hunched, our lungs can't fully expand. But this stretch opens up space for deeper breaths, which means more oxygen and more energy. My Aunt Clara used to complain that her arms didn't work like they used to when reaching for dishes in her cabinets. After doing this stretch daily, she not only reached her teacups pain-free, but rediscovered her love of painting. something she'd given up because holding a brush hurt. That's what happens when we move with purpose. Now, I've shared 6 powerful exercises so far, each one designed to help you feel stronger, steadier, and more vibrant. But before we wrap up, I want to circle back to Margaret, the neighbor I mentioned at the start. Remember how she went from, "I'm too old for this," to playing with her grandkids? Well, her secret wasn't just what she did, but how she approached it. When Margaret first started moving her body again, just those simple stretches we talked about earlier, she told me something I'll never forget. She said, "I didn't realize how much I'd been holding my breath just to get through the day." Isn't that something? For years, she'd accepted stiffness and fatigue as inevitable parts of aging. But once she began moving with intention, everything changed. Not just her strength, but her joy. And that, my friends, is what I want for you. Now, before we wrap up, let's talk about the secret ingredient that makes these exercises truly life-changing. It's not fancy equipment or pushing yourself to exhaustion. It's something far simpler: listening to your body. The power of pacing. Margaret didn't start with 20 reps of anything. She began with one seated leg lift. Just one. The next day, she did 2. Some days, her knees ached, so she switched to gentle arm circles instead. That's the mindset we need. Progress isn't a straight line, it's a dance. Some days you'll feel like you could climb a mountain. Others, just getting out of bed is victory enough. And both are okay. Here's how to make these exercises work for your life. Morning ritual. Try pairing them with something you already do. Maybe heel-to-toe stands while the coffee brews, or seated twists during the morning news. Afternoon reset. Combat the 3 p.m. slump with overhead reaches. Instant energy. Evening wind down. Gentle chair squats before bed can ease stiffness for the next day. My 80-year-old friend Arthur does his wall push-ups during commercial breaks. He says it keeps him from dozing off during his favorite shows, and his biceps have never looked better. Breathing, your built-in superpower. Now, let's talk about something we all forget to do properly: breathe. Every single exercise we've covered becomes twice as effective when you pair it with deep breathing. Inhale as you prepare for the movement. Exhale as you exert. For example, seated leg lift. Inhale sitting tall. Exhale as you lift. Chair squat. Inhale as you lower. Exhale as you stand. This isn't just about oxygen, it's about presence. When Margaret focused on her breath, she stopped worrying about doing it right and started feeling alive in her movements. Try it now with me. Deep breath in, and as you exhale, notice how your muscles relax just a little more. That's the magic. The ripple effect. Here's what surprised Margaret most: the benefits spilled into everything. Better sleep, easier trips to the grocery store. Even her mood lifted because, as she put it, "I remembered what my body could do." And that's what I hope you'll discover too. Maybe it's gardening without back pain. Maybe it's finally taking that senior dance class you've eyed at the community center. Or maybe it's simply feeling at home in your body again. I'll never forget the note Margaret sent me after 6 months of consistency. At 72, I thought my adventures were over. Now I'm planning a hiking trip with my granddaughter. Who knew? Now, I'd love to hear your stories. Have you tried any of these exercises before? What small victories have you celebrated lately? Drop a comment below. I read every single one. And if you found this video helpful, do me a kindness. Hit that like button, share it with a friend who might need it, and subscribe to The Elderly Life for more ways to thrive after 60. Remember, aging isn't about losing strength. It's about rediscovering it in new ways. Margaret's hiking at 72. Arthur's doing push-ups during Wheel of Fortune. And you? Your next chapter starts with one stretch, one step, one deep breath. So go on, take it. I'll be right here cheering you on. Until next time, keep moving, keep breathing, and keep shining. This is The Elderly Life, where every year is a gift and every day is a chance to feel alive.